Hey everybody, this is Rydo. The Steam Autumn Sale is here between November 21st 10 a.m. and November 27th 10 a.m. Pacific Time, and that happens to be right around the time for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So the one thing that happens with this sale this year, the thing that is happening with this sale, is they want you to nominate the Steam Awards, which will be coming in February, which seems odd because then that almost gives you the indication that there won't be a winter sale, like a December sale that's that big for video games on Steam, which is not what we've heard. We've heard rumors that there would have been one in October and that there would have been one in November. And we've seen that there was one in October and the one was in November. And so the third part of that rumor is there was going to be one in December. Honestly, the Steam Summer Sale is probably your best sale out of on a yearly basis on Steam. But, you know, if you've just got to buy games, you just got to buy games. We're not going to be really looking at the sale. I'm going to make a separate video about that. We're just going to focus on this side game here, where they want us to nominate games for the Game of the Year award by Valve, presented by Valve, the VR Game of the Year award, the Labor of Love award, the Best Developer award, the Best Environment award, and the Better Friends with awards, the Best Alternate History award, and the Most Fun with a Machine award. And I believe that's it. I don't think I'm going to start nominating things and then get some more things that I can nominate with, and I don't think that I'm only nominating like 5 categories and anybody else is nominating perhaps 5 different categories, which would be an interesting system at least. In the previous couple of years in which they've done this, the classifications have been kind of generic. There of course has been a Game of the Year award, but there really wasn't like a best action or adventure game. It was always something. I know there was an award like the best five more minutes mom award. Silly things that weren't as on the nose as several other awards have been. It feels like now they're trying to kind of go legitimate, which is interesting considering how CBS is going to do a Viewer's Choice Video Games Award shows, the Independent Games Awards, the Golden Joysticks, and the Video Game Awards all exist. So there's quite a few of them. None of them super legitimate, and all a little awkward. I've made this suggestion, and I think I'm really growing to love it. I think what they should do is they should have a cross-industry standard where the people in charge of making movies that right now are giving out the Oscars, they should probably give out awards for video games and do that judgment, and then it goes in a circle where people who develop video games, say, give out awards for the Tonys, and then the people who make Broadway plays give out awards for the Emmys, and then the people who make TV shows give out movies for the Oscars, and it just goes in this weird circle where it could get randomized each year. That way you don't have the situation, which is the problem with all of those awards basically that I just named. You have industry insiders, big name people basically just patting themselves on the back, and as for video game awards right now, it mostly is either weird games nobody in the real world, no actual gamer who pays for their games 100% would have played or would have ever heard of, or you get the case where it's just a whole bunch of nominations for the top AAA developed games. So Call of Duty, you know, wins the best shooter every year, or in this year it could easily be a case of Fortnite. Also, you're kind of limited on Steam to games that are kind of on Steam, so it's There's been some games like Spider-Man that was a PS4 exclusive. Yeah, that should probably win some awards, but I didn't play it because I only play Steam games. In fact, all the awards I'm going to nominate, as I've already done the work, aren't games I think I've even played. So, like, in previous years I've been able to nominate things that I covered in the past year, but this time I'm going in a different direction. I'm just gonna kind of navigate and nominate things I think will actually win. Now the reason why we're doing this is there's 3 tasks, no 4 if I can count, that will give you 4 levels on a badge. It doesn't even seem like you're getting any kind of present or award here. Like, this clearly seems like during the December sale you should get some kind of reward or special thing for being at a 4 task complete level, but it seems like they didn't even want to go with that. So you have to nominate at least 1 game. You have to complete 1 task. You have to nominate a game in each category. You have to play a game you've nominated, which means one of these nominations I'm going to have to actually cheat in. And then you have to review or update your review for a game you've nominated. And then we have the frequently asked questions, which makes some good question. Does a badge earn you XP? Yes, it gives you an additional 25 XP, so you're going to get 100 XP. The more XP you have on Steam, the larger number of people in the long run you can friend, which is not really much of an issue. It is for me as a YouTuber because I ask everybody to friend me on Steam. Part of the reason I ask people to friend me on Steam is because if they want to support me, they can look at my wishlist and gift me a game then. But honestly, if you're never going to gift me a game, I still want more friends on Steam, and I have plenty of friend slots. But for everybody else, you kind of only have like 5 when you first start a Steam account, and unless you're doing trading cards to make badges to level up your player level so you can have more friend slots, you'll never get any more friend slots. But it's never been really a big issue. So, I mean, it's kind of a crazy system designed to just suck money out of your wallet, and certainly I have spent a lot of money buying trading cards and making badges for not much of a reason. The higher the level you are, also the slightly higher chance that you'll get a free booster pack of trading cards, but honestly it doesn't happen. It just does not happen for me very much. Maybe 1 booster pack a year, and I'm at a particularly high level. Where can I see all my badges? You can see all your badges from your badges page. Do your previous reviews count? No, you'll have to post a new review for a game you've nominated or update a review you previously posted. Make sure to nominate the game first. Tell us why you think it should win. How do I see my nominations? Search in the Steam store, click how do I set my nominations? You could search in the Steam store and click on any game basically to nominate it. Can you edit your nominations? Yes, you're not locked in, at least until the end of this sale. You can share it by generating a link. I'll put that on my Twitter. So there is a Best Developer Award, which is limited to people who have actually created a developer page, and I assume this is the Steam developer page beta that I kind of hate, but it makes some sense too. Nowadays, when you click on a developer, if that developer is affiliated with a publisher, you may just go to a publisher's developer page, as it is, I guess you'd describe it. So it's become a lot more difficult to see if a developer has only developed 1 game, or to see just what a specific developer has developed if they're affiliated with another publisher. When are the winners selected and announced? You'll vote on the winners from a pool of finalists, the popular nominees in each category during the holiday sale in December. Winners will be announced in February. Okay, so that's a little confusing how they phrase that up there. Why should you participate? Because your opinion matters. Where can I find the wallpapers for the Steam Awards art? And quite nicely, they're letting you just download those wallpapers. So you're getting some free wallpapers on this style at least. And so that's the setup. We took a little long to get to that point, but this will be kind of short and sweet. So, the first award is the Game of the Year award. Maybe it was the immersive gameplay or the gripping story, the well-crafted characters, the immaculate design, or the addictive multiplayer. Whatever the reason, the winner of the 2018's Game of the Year award is an instant classic. So we click the nominate button, it pops up a box, and it's going to just kind of suggest a random selection of games that I've played. Or maybe some of these games I actually haven't played, I just left running to get trading cards. But I will play them at some point. And see, I could do like Skyrim. I could do Full Throttle Remastered, but there's kind of no point to even nominate something if it doesn't have a chance of winning. And let's face it, Pajama Sam is not going to win. Strider's not going to win. One Finger Death Punch. The 2048's not going to win. X-Blades. The Binding of Isaac may have won Game of the year it came out. Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Star Trek Adversaries isn't going to win. Lara Croft. Skyrim would have won, certainly, the year it came out, but it's not going to win for 2018. Well, I was in a weird position because of the fact that, yeah, we have to kind of make some decisions here before December happens, and that means any games that came out for December just are not getting counted at all. It's been a very weird year, certainly. But as I went through Wikipedia and looked at just like the major games that came out this year and looked at every single thing, it's not actually been a very good year for games. It's been a very varied year. Like, lots and lots of games came out, but each one of them came out with some kind of caveat. So there is no giant, amazingly popular game that has made it even to this point as we're ending November here. Even at this point, there's no game that's not a big caveat, which is kind of crazy. And that's really what we're going to have to run into each. So, with a lot of hemming and hawing and struggling and thinking about it, I decided the best game, if we scroll down we can see what we're typing, and it will, anything you type in here will just autofill. I decided the best game to select for Game of the Year is Dragon Quest XI XI, which is this. I didn't play this game. I would love to play this game. It's just that, particularly in this year, it's been a very bad year for all YouTubers, but for small YouTubers like me, we got kicked out of the YouTube Partner Program, and we've literally not made a single penny, or maybe made just a few pennies on ad revenue in the first month of January. So there's been no income coming in from that, and I was very slow to react to that, but after a year in, getting from my 300 subscribers back up to 1,000 subscribers just to get back into the YouTube Partner Program and get monetized again doesn't seem like it's something that would happen this year. It's probably not something that would happen next year. And so I've finally given up on that, and I've just made a Patreon, and I'm now asking people to click on the Patreon link in the description and just support me like that. And let's cut out the middleman, cut out Google getting 30% cut of the money. Through Patreon, you can donate as little as $1 a month, and that would certainly be more than I'm making now. Dragon Quest XI is also a little weird because it's the first major game, I believe, on Steam. So that's probably not a big issue, but it is slightly awkward. The good news is it looks like over the course of the next 5 years we'll see a lot of Japanese developers porting and bringing back and remastering a lot of games that weren't on PC. In particular, this is in part because Sony has decided to not really support Japanese developers as much as they used to, because in part they moved their offices to California. This is a much longer story, certainly, that I could go into detail, but not for this episode in this recording. Dragon Quest XI also very highly to win Game of the Year if there was more of a focus of Japanese players on Steam. I'm not sure how many Japanese people play on PC and play on Steam. That's again, as more Japanese games show up on Steam, more Japanese players will start playing on Steam, so we'll start to see games like Dragon Quest in particular, which is the best game almost every year that it comes out in Japan. I imagine it will start winning Game of the Year. So that's our first nomination. Dragon Quest 11, Echoes of an Elusive Age. Not a bad decision. It has a good chance of winning. There's also potential here that you could have picked, say, Monster Hunter World. Unfortunately, Monster Hunter World kind of has some problems, and a lot of these Japanese games just in general don't right now have the smoothest amount of support from the developers, because they literally just don't know how to develop on PC. So sometimes the games just don't run that well, or they don't get updates, or they don't get patches. Nier Automata, last year's potential Game of the Year, promised a patch within the first few months of it coming out on Steam. That patch never showed up. And so there's that caveat, and there's kind of a caveat with everything. The next is the VR Game of the Year. Personally, I say, why is this even an award? I suppose Valve owns HTC Vive in part, and they definitely are still pushing VR games either on the Vive or the Oculus Rift. They certainly are building models and new versions of a VR headset with a in-house product developer that Valve has bought. So, which is weird because they just stopped making the Steam Link hardware, which I suspect means that by this time in 6 months or next year there will be a Steam Link version 2.0 in development instead. But personally, and I think most people would realize, is it's not worth the money to get a VR headset. There aren't that many good games on it. I've just spent a lot of time cleaning up my Steam wishlist and putting all the VR games that can only be played on VR in my follow list, and most of those games really don't even deserve to be there. So I had to really struggle with this, but in the end, I want to pick something that I think is a good game and just happens to have VR, which is probably the best way this goes about. I'm suspecting a lot of these VR only games will start putting out patches where they can be played outside of VR, and that'll be how most people experience it, and VR will just be the secondary thing. Now, that being said, Peggle Deluxe from PopCap Games in no way has VR. So the tagging system in Valve, the ones they're suggesting to me, are completely wrong. Like, Ticket to Ride's not in VR. Hocus is not in VR. Remember Me is not in VR. Pinball Arcade might have a VR plugin, but Fox and the Flock and Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Cities Skylines, this Eurofighter Typhoon is a really, really old game that looks like garbage. It's totally not in VR. I don't think Sigils of Elohim is in VR either, but its parent project, the Talos Principle, is in VR. So it's almost to that point. And let's go ahead and read the description. VR is the Wild West of game designs. It's a lawless land of emerging standards where pretty much anything goes. The winner of this award is not only hugely fun, but helps chart the course of the future of the medium. So it took me a lot of looking through it because, like, honestly, I don't even know how many big games that came out this year had VR. But there is one that stuck out, and that was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. So we have here Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice VR edition. So I should click this one. I think that's what that says right there. If you can't read that, neither can I. So let's just click 9 and nominate and move forward. Yes. Hellblade's Senua's Sacrifice VR edition. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice as a game is good, and I think deserves all the awards it gets. It is, again, though, a game I actually haven't played. All these big AAA games, although this one would have been more of a AA game, all the games that came out in the past couple of years at that high price, games have just gotten a little too expensive, particularly when you start looking at Steam sales and you can get games that are like 3 or 4 years old at a big discount, and you can get a lot of games really cheap through several different ways, like whether it's the Humble Bundle store or other storefronts. You can get Steam keys for those games pretty cheap. And so I've managed to get a lot of games, but none of them are that new. And frankly, my YouTube channel is just not in the position where I could afford, or I think it'd even be that successful for me to cover brand new games the day they come out. And try and compete with top tier streamers who are doing the same thing. So moving on, we have the Labor of Love Award. This game has been out for a while. The team is well past the first unveiling of their creative baby, but being a good parents they are, these devs continue to nurture and support their creation. The game to this day is still still getting new content all these years. Okay, well, that was not what I thought the Labor of Love Award was. I skipped reading that description. Interesting. So I was going to put the game Return of the Obra Dinn, which I think was a labor of love to create, but it's a brand new game, and that's not what they're asking for here. So the problem with their description, and I may have to skip some descriptions here in particular, is that a lot of these games, if I was to say they're getting new content, for instance, Rocket League, if I can spell Rocket League correctly, yeah, Rocket League kind of deserves that award. I could see PUBG deserving that award. I could see Rust deserving that award, possibly. But each of those games, I think, add content because they're selling that new content. It's not just getting added for no reason. So I'm seeing Riven here, the sequel to Myst. And this game had to be kickstarted to get the license to put it back on Steam. And so I've, like, Myst 3 Exile and Myst 4, the two Myst games in the series, I don't own because I've just been recently added to Steam. I totally would love to cover them. They're at the top of my wish list. If anybody were to gift them, they would become my new best friend, basically. So I would say it is a labor of love, a lot more, to get a beloved, very old game, not extremely old, but pretty old game, back available for purchase. So people aren't on this, aren't having to find through illegal sites ways to download the game. And as a YouTube video game critic, it doesn't matter if I can get access to a game. If I can't put a link to it where somebody else can purchase it and play it, then I'm not being very helpful with my reviews, am I? Because my reviews are supposed to be purchasing decisions. If you can't purchase them, it kind of doesn't matter. That being said, I've covered a lot of the Telltale games, and Telltale has gone out of business. So yeah, a lot of the games I've covered from that developer has kind of gone to the wayside, at least until the bankruptcy cleans up. So yeah, Mystery XL, a little awkward, probably not going to win. I would, if it was just the title and not the description, I would pick Return to Oberdeen, Return of the Oberdeen, but the description is there and one assumes people are going to follow the description, although that may be a false assumption. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people just look at the title and pick whatever they want. And before, a lot of the titles really were very abstract and the descriptions were very abstract, and I'm glad they kind of fixed that. But I think in general they'd be better off just asking us to nominate 12 categories and like, what's the best action, what's the best shooter, just do some basic things. Who's the best voice actor, who's the best voice actress, if you want to split the genders there, things like that. Next we have the best developer, and inherently this is different. You just type in the developer and they have to have a developer page. Whether it was by listening to their fans, creating something genuinely unexpected, or delivering on a promise of a truly great game, the studio has absolutely crushed it in 2018. I don't feel like anybody really crushed it, honestly. I don't want to pat developers on the back. Nobody really did a great job. Like, I could potentially try and find the name of the indie developer who made Oberdeen, but I'd have to look up his name, and I kind of don't feel like he deserves to be the best developer, because he just made this kind of indie game that I love, but you know, all the big name developers have done a lot more. So eventually, after thinking about it, I decided on Capcom, which is insane, certainly, to say Capcom was the best developer of 2018. To say any company is pretty much insane. But Capcom did do something that I think deserves some awards. It brought back a Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2. Mega Man 11 is coming out, and I'm fairly certain, if we, here, let's go ahead and nominate this and then click on his name and just see if we can go here and look at what they've released in the past in the past year. There's the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, which may not be great. Mega Man 11, Monster Hunter World, which is mixed reviews. So the Mega Man X Collection, the Mega Man X Legacy Collection 2, the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, the Devil May Cry HD Collection. Okami came out last year. So there's a lot of collections here, re-releasing games, maybe not in the best format or fashion. That people love Devil May Cry, but they're mixed on Street Fighter 30th. They're mixed on Mega Man, mixed on this, mixed on that. Very positive on Mega Man 11, and very positive on the Beat 'em Up bundle. So yeah, even at that, you really have to take a huge grain of salt to say any developer knocked it out of the ballpark this year, and they really didn't. Capcom is kind of known for just milking its previous franchises and continuously trying to make more and more content off the backs of things. Like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, people hated that. It's not like Capcom is doing anything new as far as any new IP and tentpole things. They're working on the remake of Resident Evil 2 to milk that. They're working on Devil May Cry 5. Yeah, there's not a lot here as far as highlights or new games that Capcom is in the works as far as new IP. But I mean, who else do you give it to? You can't really give it to Nintendo, not on Steam, because there's no Nintendo games on Steam. I've also noticed that there was at least one game that came out this year that I wanted to cover that's on EA Origin, so that's a game I'll never cover. So yeah, you're very limited in your choices there. You could maybe give it to Devolver Digital just for laughs, but yeah, I don't know. And frankly, I don't even want to give an award to Capcom or any of them. I'd like to not do this, but I have no choice if I want to get the top tier XP. This is the problem with them bribing me even with a small amount of XP, which 25 XP is pretty small. I'd kind of prefer to abstain on that. Moving on though, don't want this to take too long. We have the best environment award. All of those chatty cutscenes, all of the reminders that they need a health pack again. Let's face it, characters are overrated. As this winner illustrates, sometimes breathtaking scenery tells a better story than a 1,000 big-mouthed heroes. And again, I'm just getting a random assortment of games that I've played recently, relatively recently, in the past year. I've certainly covered a lot of games, but none of them are recent. After giving it some thought, and probably even not that much, I do think Hitman 2 deserves this award. It came out this year. Hitman 2 is designed around the idea of having environments and having places that look realistic and interesting, where the Hitman character, Agent 47, walks around and interacts with people and hides amongst people. So yeah, I think honestly, as we nominate Hitman 2, this probably is the most accurate nomination we've picked so far. Maybe Game of the Year with Dragon Quest 11, but honestly, I think Spider-Man or Red Dead Redemption 2 would blow those out of the water if either one of those were on PC. Now, coincidentally, in struggling to find a game that had multiplayer, I really didn't have a lot of success on even finding games that had multiplayer. I personally don't play multiplayer games, or don't play the multiplayer parts of games. As a video game critic, with a crazy schedule, I would just never have any time for anybody to play with me, particularly to give me enough time to talk and criticize about a game while everybody else is running and gunning. So this was kind of an abrupt, easy solution, in my opinion, to just nominate one of the previous games that had been already nominated or thought about that just happened to have multiplayer. So I'm just basically squeezing in a game I wanted to see get nominated into a category regardless of the description. So the Better with Friends awards, there are some games out there that just aren't the same when you play by yourself. Maybe you need to have a friend to watch your back. Maybe you need to have a friend that you can stab in the back. Either way, mirth is awaiting those who gather friends to play these games. Again, something like this, very possibly you would give it to something like Destiny 2 or Battlefront or Battlefield. None of those games I think are on Steam. After giving it some thought though, I decided to go with Monster Hunter World, which we haven't nominated for anything, we've just mentioned because we thought about it. So that's a Capcom game, Monster Hunter World, and we're nominating Capcom in part because of the release of Monster Hunter World on PC, even though the release of that game isn't amazingly great. And I'm not 100% sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dragon Age was also... No, it's not a Capcom game. We are leaning towards the Japanese developers. Hellblade was, I think, a Swedish development team. Myst is a United States development team. IO Interactive, makers of Hitman 2, I believe are Canadian based. So we're going all around the world, certainly, but we are leaning heavy with Japanese developed games, which is fine by me because a lot of the more Western award shows, which I would say Steam is probably more of a Western award show, they tend to intentionally snub Japanese games quite a lot. They'll get nominated and they just won't win, even if they deserved it. So next we have the Best Alternate History Award. Those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it. Those who remember it just fine but prefer to reinvent it are doomed to get this award in 2018. Most entertaining tinkering with the history books. So I did not read that well at all. A lot of these awards too also feel like they were designed last year. It would have made a lot more sense for some of these awards to have happened in the last few years compared to this year, because yeah, with kind of the example of like Wolfenstein 2, which I'm not 100% came out this year, but even if it did, it wasn't that super popular. That's kind of the only game I can even think of that is super focused around an alternate history in the past couple of years. There probably have been some independent ones, but when I think of the phrase alternate history, I'm also thinking that everything in this world's history was going exactly the same, and then one key action changed, and that set down a chain of events that changed things. What I'm not thinking is, oh, this is just a fantasy world where there were dragons at the beginning of time, and thus the world is like Skyrim instead of the world is like the real world is. But theoretically, you could say that the Elder Scrolls universe is an alternate history. In fact, there is at least a fan theory that they're playing into that, yes, the Fallout universe and the Elder Scrolls universe and the new game that they're developing called Starlink, that universe is all supposed to be in the same world, and that there's just such a significant amount of time in between it that what it was once science becomes magic in the Skyrim universe. So it's supposed to be, I think, something like Fallout happens, then Starlink happens, then Skyrim happens, or the Elder Scrolls series happens. But yeah, I really wouldn't call the Elder Scrolls an alternate history. Like, I could say this game kind of has an alternate history, but in no way would that win a nomination. Most of these games, like, don't really deserve to even be considered. So after thinking about it, there is this one thing. In Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom, to my understanding, since I haven't played this game because there's no Ni no Kuni 1, so it kind of sucks, but to my understanding, Ni no Kuni 2 starts at the beginning with a fictitious United States president coming over to a different world and being a playable character that follows you around and helps you on your RPG journey throughout that experience. So I guess that's sort of an alternate history. Ni no Kuni 1 was based, to my understanding, again I didn't play the first one either, even though I definitely wanted to, where a boy manages to travel to a different universe and become the king and of that new world. And Ni no Kuni's a studio, Ni no Kuni 1 was made in part with help from Studio Ghibli, and it's a very kid-friendly style RPG, or at least pre-teen friendly RPG. So yeah, that's my pick, another Japanese game. I think Ni no Kuni 2 probably deserves a little bit more props, but almost certainly this nomination is not going to make it. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if absolutely none of these games make it to the voting round in December. That's pretty much what happened in the past couple of years, and that's what prompted the idea of shifting over to trying to at least make some honest decisions, or at least slightly honest decisions that have a chance of actually winning. The good news is, at least on the outset, they're not saying anything like, if your nomination wins, you will win a free copy of a game or get some Steam Wallet credit. That they're not giving anything like that out, which it would be nice, honestly, if Steam did just randomly give a few pennies out to Steam Wallet people, Steam credit, or just, you know, dust or trading cards or anything. Even more booster packs would be nice. Valve and Steam are pretty cheap, frankly, for as much money as they seem to be making. So where we are now is you have to play a game I've nominated, and then I have to review a game that you've nominated, or update your review. And I've literally not played any of these games, nor do I own any of these games. I'm pretty sure. I don't own Ni no Kuni, I don't own Monster Hunter World, I don't own Hitman 2. You can't play or review Capcom. I don't own Myst 3, I'd love to. I don't own Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice VR Edition, or the original edition. I believe if you get the original edition, you get the VR edition for free. So I'd like to play the original edition and cover it. And I don't own Dragon Quest 11. So I am now painted into a corner where I have to play a game I have played, and I have to update a review that I've done. And if you've been following me for the past couple of years, there's really only one game I've ever written a review for because it's asked me to. And that game is a free-to-play idle clicker game that I leave running all the time on my computer as I'm trying to get the very last achievement and show just how long it has taken. And it's been running pretty much non-stop for 3 years straight. So there's a ridiculous amount of hours in it, according to Steam. But the good news is that I really didn't play any of those, or I don't do too much. I just kind of look at it once or twice a day. So I have to nominate this one, Time Clickers, and apparently I have a respec now available, or you can respec. And so that gets me to the point where I have nominated everything. So the question then comes down to, why did that not lock in? At that point, it should have checked that box. It should have knocked me up to level 2. Well, regardless, let's go to Time Clickers. And let's see, well, actually, yeah. Now, nominating this for the Most Fun with a Machine Awards is ridiculous. It's whether it's a car, truck, robot, or other mechanized contraption. The winner of this award fired on all cylinders, engineered an unforgiving gameplay experience, and made possible by machines. Which, I mean, it's a stretch, certainly, to put that in that category. I was going to put Forza Horizon 4, I believe, in this category, by the way. But that's kind of all we have to do. So yeah, in the last 2 weeks, 327.7 hours. And let's just go to my review down here. And so in total, 21,320.3 hours on record. And let's see, how do we update this? Do we just click here? Let's see, if you had a comment, you subscribe to a thread. One person found this review funny. Thank goodness. Interesting. No one rated this review is as yet helpful. Okay. Let's go back and see how we update a review that you've already done. Let's see. How do you even write a review these days? If you want to write a review, you can edit review, this review, change the rating, and change this if you wish. Let's see, view your stats. I wonder what my stats look like. Yeah, it's just achievements. The last achievement is to get the last upgrade and get to a very high level. Defeat wave boss 4,000. I've done 3,500. And that was 2 years ago, and still haven't gotten it. You kind of are just stuck. It's kind of impossible to do. Okay. Recommended, nominated. Maybe what has gone on here is I need to zoom out to see something, a button or something. There it is. Edit review. Let's see. Renominated this game for and then we'll come over here and I'll just copy most fun with a machine award. There you go. Question mark V question mark. So this was my renominated in 27, and I guess the running gag will be I'll just keep doing this until it stops being funny or they stop asking me to write reviews. We'll go ahead and let's see. Nominated this game for a write-in. Just do a little editing here. And then we'll just decapitalize everything there. Alright, that looks better. Check this if I received the product for free. It was a free-to-play game, so I'm just gonna leave that alone and save. Okay, so now if we just skip to the storefront, we can go back here to where the Steam Awards are and just double check that we've done everything, and that'll be the end of this episode or this video. A lot of work for very little reward, certainly. Not great. As for playing a game I've nominated, I believe I have time clickers running right now, so I probably just need to close time clickers and that award would be handed over. It did click in that I nominated a game in every category, and all of that really is going to do is give us a badge on the badges here. So there's one more badge here to receive, and that'll upgrade it. Most badges, almost everything besides the Valve special ones, involve you collecting a certain number of cards, whether it's 3 out of 5 or 5 out of 8. There might even be a few like 5 out of 9. You get a collection of random card drops when you're playing a game, but it's never enough, so you have to buy more cards one way or the other, or you buy card packs. Some of these games card packs are extremely cheap and you can get them for like pennies to get. Then once you have a full collection, you trade in the cards, which kind of sucks because then you don't get to keep the cards and look at them. But there's really not a great way to look at the cards anyways. Like, you can do this and that's kind of all you get. And then I suppose you could just save the image. The whole idea is dumb, frankly, and it's a scam. So it's just something that I've gotten suckered into, kind of like how I was suckered into achievements. Once you're at level 1, then you're working towards level 2 to get another 100 XP. A lot of times you can only get up to level 3, sometimes you can get up to level 5. And if I scroll incredibly down, there's some silver cards, some foil badges that you can try, but the foil cards are not actually, they're so rare they're not worth it, so you might as well sell them on the market and get a few pennies off of that, or maybe even a quarter or two. If I just speed up the process and go all the way down to this point and then skip, apparently I have almost 500 badges. There are some that once they are mastered and completely closed, you can't do anything. Like the summer sale of 2016, it could go up to as many levels as you want, so that one kept on going. But I'm fairly certain we'll find one here. Community leader, I think, was only 500. Red herring was only like 100. But that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for one that is totally complete. That's not a special one. I'm fairly certain. Here we go. The Taos Principle. This is a good example. So once you get to level 5, you've leveled it up to completion. At that point, you can see all the cards, even though you don't own any of them. So if you really just wanted to always be able to click this picture, you can do that at level 5, but I mean, it's really ridiculous. You could kind of just Google these photos, and foil badge progress is insane. And once you're at level 5, that doesn't increase your level at all. And what does that all really have to do with anything? Nothing, really. It just levels up your level. You can see I'm up at level 77, which level 77 means I can have a lot of, let's see, calculatable drops worth approximately $22.96. Interesting. That's interesting. So level 77, multiply that by 5, that's probably how many people I can have as friends, but I'm not even sure. This is probably, by the way, a Steam plugin on Chrome telling me that. I bet that's not Steam itself. And certainly I have a lot of games, and I've tried to cover a lot of games. We can see we are 1/3 of the way there. If I was to cover all of the games that I own, which a lot of them don't run and aren't that good, and if I was to get the slightly over 2,000 games on the wishlist, which I probably don't want to cover all the games on the wishlist. There's still a lot of games that are up in the air. There's a lot of JRPGs, for example, where I probably only want to cover 1 or 2 JRPGs, but I'm not sure which ones I'd want to cover. I could see, give it 5-10 more years, I'll have been so caught up on games that I'll have covered everything I've ever wanted to cover, which would be nice. And this is your Steam profile, and as you level up you get more slots, but eventually once you're about at my level you have nothing to put in the slots, so you just have my basic social media stuff that's in the description, although this information might be a little bit older. Like, I don't know if I have a Twitch link in the description right now. Even you can see game collector and DLC and reviews. You can see I have 50 games I've perfected completely and gotten all the achievements. I have 3,000 achievements. I used to be really obsessed on the Xbox 360 with achievements. I'm running a 59% game completion rate according to its calculation. I don't know where it gets that name idea. See, a lot of this stuff is just ridiculous. And then it comes down here and it will eventually just highlight everything. Here I got a free copy of this game, See No Evil, that I'm willing to trade to anybody. And then games I've recently played in the past couple weeks, which is not too bad. And then of course it'll always calculate time, but it calculates time pretty badly because I tend to leave games running. Here I have a friend that we'll just point out, his level is 261, and here I have a level 4 friend. So like, you can certainly go from one to the other region. I would say this person also is super obsessed and very possibly not even a real person, and just instead a multi-user account designed around trying to make a few pennies by getting badges and selling and trading cards. His higher level means he'll get more booster packs, which means he might be able to make some more money. Here we can see a lot of this stuff is also plugin links. So yeah, I was kind of meandered there. That's the big part of the autumn sale that isn't the sale part. Next video I will put out, I'm just going to record, will be the sale part, which it will just be, you know, to be honest, a little e-bagging and a little shopping, window shopping, and that's kind of it. They are making a push to have you follow more game developers. I don't see any reason why I'd want to watch it. They were also at one point making a push to having you follow more curators, but honestly, with the exception of Cut Content Police, or whatever it is called on Steam, there's nobody that is worth following. I'd say Cut Content Police makes sense because they will tell you if a game has cut content. Steam is still a little up in the air. They said they were all about free speech and they decided not to censor anything, but then there have been about 3 or 4 incidences where games have been kicked off of Steam, or allegedly at least, after that happened. So they're still not speaking from one unified perspective. The Steam Link is being discontinued. We talked about that. I wouldn't get either one of these, frankly. The problem with the Steam Link is it's $2 right now, but it's $7.50 to ship it in the United States, so you're paying $10 anyways, and that's the problem. I'd pay $2 to get it, I wouldn't pay $10 to get it. And see, I could scroll down below this point and it will just give me recommendations, and at that point I'm just window shopping. So this is where we're gonna end this video. Sorry, it's taken a long time to get to that point. Feels almost like there's some hidden things in these pictures, like this is a mouse and such, but I think it's kind of obvious too. This is a PC and this is that game Raft that they're referencing. Anyways, that's it for this recording. As always, at the end of my episodes, I ask that you like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because that helps me with YouTube and tells them that my videos are worth watching. If you want to friend or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net, all of those links are down below in the description box. And there might be a Twitch link down there too. You can follow me if you want. My Twitch channel, though, is really just a backup of my YouTube channel, so I'm not really doing anything with it right now. If you want to support me, the 2 ways, again, are to support me via the link down below through Patreon, or friend me on Steam. You'll see in the next video me going through my wishlist, but you could certainly see my wishlist also once you friended me and just gifting me a game off that wishlist. I've spent a lot of time, and there will be episodes airing starting December 1st in which I clean up the wishlist and get rid of a lot of games. So even though it does have 2,000 games on it, they are really hand-picked and a lot better quality than you would think. That's it for this recording. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.